Hello, welcome to this live stream. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to make a super cute fanny pack like this. This bag measures, how big is it? It's about 8 inches wide. It's about 8 inches wide, about 6 inches tall, so it's a really good size for your wallet. And your phone and your keys and whatever else you might want to keep with you. And when you open it, it also has a little pocket on the inside, so you can put your phone in there and it won't get scratched up with other things. So this is a great project. It's a zero waste project, so you can make this without creating any scraps at all. I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. So let's go ahead and jump in. So I'm going to show you, this is based on a pattern that I have in my shop that walks you through the process. So it's a zippered fanny pack pattern, and I am going to walk you through this today. So this pattern works really well with canvas fabrics, and that's what I recommend. But if you wanted to do a lighter weight fabric, you could absolutely do that, and you might want to reinforce it with some cotton batting to give the bag a little more structure, or you could use canvas as a sort of interfacing. I don't usually use regular interfacing because that's a plastic based product and I really try to avoid that. But yeah, I would recommend using canvas for this fanny pack. Also, go ahead and say hello in the chat. Tell me where you're joining from. I always love seeing you here on these chats. And if you're watching this on the replay, you can leave a comment and tell me where you're watching your tutorials from. Okay, so let's jump into this pattern. So you are going to need, I'm just going to assume that you're using canvas. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to be using 2 pieces of canvas, and you want your measurements to be 15 inches long and 11 inches wide. So let me go ahead and show you all of my supplies here. Okay, so I've got my supplies laid out, and I'm going to be using 2 pieces of canvas fabric. So this is going to be my outside piece. This sort of herringbone print is going to be my inside piece, and these are both 15 inches long and 11 inches wide. Then you need a piece of fabric that is 6 inches tall and 11 inches wide. This is going to become the pocket. Then you're also going to need a piece of fabric that's 4 inches tall, 8 inches wide. This is going to become the little D-ring straps that are seated on the sides of the bag that hold those rings in place. You also need a 10-inch zipper for this fanny pack, and you need 2 D-rings just like this. You need a slider bar buckle, one of these guys, and you need a lobster claw. I have a lobster claw somewhere. Where is it? It's hiding on me. Here it is. Okay. You also need a lobster claw. Now all of these pieces of hardware are 1 inch, and that is a good width to use for a pack that's going to sit around your waist. So that is what I would recommend, 1 inch for all of those guys. And I'm also going to be using a little no trace tag because I like to put tags on the bags that I make. So if you have your own personal tag, you might want to include that, or a little handmade tag. Alright, so let's jump in. We're going to put the zipper aside for a minute and these guys aside for a minute. The first thing that we're going to do is turn the 6" by 11" piece of fabric into the small pocket that fits on the inside. It's really easy to do. Just fold it in half with the right sides together, and then you're going to stitch it at the machine with a 1/2" seam allowance all along here, and then you turn it right side out. So I have already done that with this piece of fabric. I stitched it into a little tube and turned it right side out, and I've pressed it. So this is my pocket fabric, which is already ready to go. Once you have your pocket fabric ready, you are going to be attaching it to the inner fabric of your fanny pack. And you want to attach it in a specific place because this whole bag gets kind of folded up in this way. So you want to make sure that your pocket is in the right place because you're going to be doing quite a bit of folding and manipulating. Anyhow, you know that. I don't have to tell you that. So you want to place the bottom edge of your pocket 4 inches away from your top edge of fabric. So just get a ruler. We'll go ahead and lay this down on top of our fabric. The other way. 4 inches. And then we'll make sure that our pocket fabric is 4 inches away from that top edge. And you want to be kind of precise with this fanny pack because, yeah, you just do. There's less room for error on this project than some of my other projects. Okay, so this is 4 inches, this bottom edge is 4 inches away from the top. Now I'm just going to pin it in place, and I'm just going to stitch straight along the bottom edge of the pocket with about 1/8 inch seam allowance. And let me show you. I have a view of my sewing machine. I got fancy today. I set up a couple cameras. I have a few different views for you. So hopefully this will help make the process a little easier. So I am just sewing straight down that bottom edge. I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Just straight down. Okay, almost done. Alright. And let's go ahead and trim those threads. And I have my first seam. Looks like that. Okay. And then we're going to set this aside for now. We can take these pins out for now. And let's move on to the next step. So once we have our pocket in place, we can make the straps for the D-ring. And you're going to need a piece of fabric that matches your outer fabric that's 4 inches tall and 8 inches wide. Now, the way you make the strap that's going to fit in the little D-rings is really easy. You just fold your fabric in half with the right sides together, press it with the iron, open it up, and then bring those raw edges in to that center crease, and then press it again, and then fold it and press it again so that you go from a 4 inch piece of fabric to a 1 inch tall strap. And I've already done that. And like I said, I got really fancy with this tutorial and I already made the strap. So I took another scrap, turned it into a 1 inch strap, and what we're going to do is cut this in half. And let me get my scissors. So I'm just going to fold this in half lengthwise, press that center crease really well, and then just cut right there. So that now I have two 4 inch straps to use with my D-rings. And in the next step, we're going to put the D-ring onto the straps. Each strap gets a D-ring, and we'll just fold our strap in half so that the D-ring is right at the center of the strap. and then we're going to come over to our machine and we're going to stitch close to that D-ring to really hold that strap in place. So let me switch views here and I can show you this next step. I'm actually going to change my presser foot here and put in a zipper foot. So this little guy. And this lets me get really close to the hardware. I also use my zipper foot if I'm sewing something really bulky. Sometimes it lets me get closer to my project. Okay, so I'm just getting the D-ring close to the zipper foot, and I'm going to go down and I'm going to stitch 3 rows so that my D-ring is super secure. So I'm just going down and then I'm going to reverse all the way and then go down again. Careful that sometimes it'll get a little bit stuck up on that foot there, so if that happens, just take a moment. I'm going to leave this on the machine. I'm going to get my next D-ring and put it on this other strap and just keep sewing. This way I have it's less likely that the thread is going to get bunched up under my presser foot. So now I'm just sliding this guy right next to that guy and I'm going to keep going. And again I'm going to reverse. I think this is called chaining, when you sew things right next to each other without taking it off the machine. It's really handy. Okay, so now I've got my 2 little D-ring straps ready to go. I just need to separate these guys with my little scissors. And then we're ready to move on to the next step. I'm going to go ahead and trim some of those threads really quick. Uh-oh. I think my camera just went out. Okay. Let's get back to this view. So here I have my little D-rings. Let me see if I can get my camera back on. I'm not sure why it quit on me. We'll see. Okay. Okay. Well, we might have lost our sewing view, which would be unfortunate. But we'll see. Maybe I can get it back during this stream, because it's kind of nice you can see me at the machine. Okay, anyhow. Once you have the D-rings set up, you can set those aside for now, and we are going to come back to our fabric with the pocket on it, and we're going to come back to our outer fabric and our zipper. So what we're going to do now is we're going to attach the fabric to the zipper, and we're going to make a zipper sandwich where the zipper is like the cheese and the fabric is the bread. So we want the zipper in between the fabric layers, and I'm going to line up this top edge of my fabric tape with the top edge of my fabric. And if your fabric has the right side up, you'd want to put the zipper on the top side of the fabric. This fabric is really abstract. It doesn't really have a right side up or a wrong side up. So I am just picking an arbitrary end as the top, and I'm clipping it in place. Now I'm going to take the other fabric, which has the pocket sewn onto it, and I'm going to place that right on top of the zipper, and I want the pocket to be opening up towards the zipper. Otherwise your pocket would be upside down in your bag, and that would not help you at all. Everything would just jumble around in there. So make sure you got the pocket on right. Okay, let me take a moment here and see if I can get my camera up and running again so you can watch me sew, because I think that's kind of helpful. All right. Okay, so just give me a second here, and let's see if I can get back to streaming on my little camera. If you've ever streamed before, let me know. What's it been like for you? For me, it's been a huge learning curve. Yeah, I've definitely learned a ton. And this streaming is kind of the next level learning here for me. And sorry, you can fast forward through this part. Let's see. Come on, where are you at? Here we go. Okay. Thank you for being so patient. Okay. Now I'm reconnecting my little sewing camera. And let's see if I can get it going again. Let's see. Okay. Might have lost it. That is such a bummer. Okay, let's see. Okay. Where is it? Okay. All right, give me one more second. Come back. Come on, little camera. Where are you? Where are you? Let's see. Okay. We might be back. All right, well, hopefully that doesn't happen again. And if you're still here, oh my gosh, you are a very patient person. YouTube is not the place for patience. It's kind of a place for instant gratification. Okay, so we're back. All right, so back at the machine, I have my zipper foot still in place, and I'm just going to stitch right along this edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And my thread just popped out. So, isn't that Murphy's Law? Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. I think I'm experiencing that right now. Okay, reversing here. I'm just going to go straight down. Oh, I see some comments. I'll read those in just a second. Okay, 1/4 inch seam allowance. And as I get close to my zipper foot, I like to lift my presser foot, or as I get close to my zipper pull, I like to lift my presser foot and peek between my layers and then just push that pull out of the way so that I have a nice, easy, straight edge to follow here. Okay. Alright, so I've got my first seam complete. See if you can see that. Okay. Alright, I have a couple of chats here. Let me see if I can read them really quick. Yes, Lorraine, technology fails us when we need it. And Patty asks, what fanny pack pattern are you making? So this is one that you can get in my shop. It is a zero waste fanny pack design, and it's about 8 the finished bag is about 8 inches by 8 inches wide, 6 inches tall. So it's a good size. So yeah. Okay, so now that this is these first layers have been attached to the zipper, I am going to switch my view here, and you can see what I'm doing next. So this is probably one of the trickier parts of the bag, and we are opening it up. Actually, before we get to the tricky part, I forgot, we want to do a top stitch. So we want to open this up we want to press the seam that we just made on both sides. You could press it with the iron or you could finger press it. I'm just doing a little finger press right here, and then I do want to do a quick top stitch right where I sewed. So let's switch back. And you can kind of see how I'm doing this. I'm going to actually move my zipper pull out of the way and just go straight down. And this is also a good chance to make sure you've caught all of your layers in your seam, which I did. Okay, and again, I'm near the zipper pull, so I'm going to actually, whoops, pull it out of the way. Keep going. Alright, so now I've got my little top stitch completed here. Looks like that. Okay, now we are coming to the trickier part of this bag design. So we are going to be, and it's not that tricky, but we're going to be bringing the bottom edge up to the zipper, and we are going to clip it in place. So now we're kind of making a sort of continuous bag here, and then we flip it over and we do that same thing with the other end. We bring it up and we get it into our clips, and so now the bag has a sort of double U sort of shape on the bottom edge here. You've got this kind of fold of fabric and this fold of fabric, and that's how it's supposed to look. That's what you want. And then we want to actually mark out 4 inches up here, because we're going to actually leave a 4-inch opening in our bag, and that is how we're going to turn our whole fanny pack right side out. That's how we're going to have finished edges, or a fully lined bag, and yeah, no raw edges. So the way I do that is I find the center. So this is 11 inches, so the center is 5.5 inches. I'm just going to put a little mark at 5.5 inches, and then I'm going to go down 2 inches to the right, and then over 2 inches to the left. Okay, and now I'm leaving this opening, this 4-inch opening, alone as I sew. Alright, so let's go back to the machine, and we will stitch this up. Okay. You could also, instead of marking it, you could put a pin at 4 inches. That works well too. I just marked it because I had my marker right there. I'm going to do a back stitch at the beginning. And when I get to my little mark, I'm going to do a back stitch. And now I am going to pick up my bag. Let's move this clip out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and get, oh, I can feel my zipper pulls in here too. So I'm going to move my zipper pull and my clips so I can get this next section of the bag sewn. Okay, let's find my little mark. Here's my other mark. And again, I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance straight down, making sure these are lined up. Oh, I just lost my camera again. Okay. There's actually not a whole lot of complicated sewing steps coming up, so we will go without, because I do not want y'all watching me fiddle around forever with this silly camera. Okay. So we have sewn that edge. I know it's kind of hard to see on this camera. This is my iPhone camera. I'll show you up here too. And what we want to do next is actually top stitch the top part of the that seam that we just did, we want to top stitch. So you kind of have to fiddle with your bag, turn it right side out, and then we actually want to press it with the iron because this part is a little bit fussy, and we want to make sure that we get a nice clean cut, a clean stitch, not a clean cut. So I'm going to get my iron, and I'm going to go ahead and press it on my little ironing mat. And the tricky part of this bag is this opening. This is the most fussy part. So we want to take a moment and really make sure that we are ironing the fabric really well at that opening. Okay, so we're gonna iron it on this side, and then we're gonna turn it right side out and iron it. Turn it wrong side out and iron it on the other side. So I think my iron's probably hot by now. So we're gonna do a nice press on the top side, and then we turn the whole thing around and press on the inside. And this will really help us when we go to close up our bag a bit later. So just make sure you do this part well. Okay. And now we'll go turn it right side out again. And now I'm actually going to put a pin right here at my opening so that when I go to top stitch, I do not top stitch this 4-inch opening, because I can't see my marks anymore. They are on the inside of my fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick top stitch here. And it kind of helps to take the tray part off your machine for this. It's a little bit tricky. I'm just going to set that aside. And I'm going to start on one side. I'm going to stitch on this easier, looser side to my pin, take it off, and then stitch from this pin to the bottom edge. So let me get under my presser foot, which you can't see. I'm so sad. I'm wondering if my camera died, although it's plugged in to power. I don't know. Spent some time fiddling with things today, but clearly I did not spend enough time fiddling. Alright, now let me get this other side. And I like to leave my thread tails really long because I'm going to actually be pulling those threads to the inside and probably tying them in a knot when the bag is all done. Okay, so this part is a little tricky, but I'm basically going to be putting this, let's see, what's the best way to show you? I'm going to be putting this end under the presser foot and just sort of moving this fabric out of the way. So I'm only stitching that through these layers of fabric. I'm not catching the bottom part of my bag. So you're going to want to kind of move it out of the way as you sew, and move your zipper pull out of the way, and just take your time and keep that fabric out of the way. Okay, I'm almost done. This bag actually sews up fairly quickly. Not quick enough for me to really mass produce these, but it makes a really nice project for yourself or for a loved one. I would highly recommend it. Okay, so I finished top stitching there. I left that gap of about 4 inches. Okay, now we are going to be sewing up the sides of our bag, but we want to turn our bag inside out. So not just wrong side out, but we want it completely inside out. So we're kind of reaching inside and pulling the inner layers out so that we're seeing the wrong sides of both the inner and the outer layers of fabric. And this is a good time to trim some of those loose threads, make it just a little bit tidier. Okay. So your bag should look like this at this point. And what we're going to do next is find the zipper on the inside, and we are going to be folding the fabric in a way to create this look. So we want some fabric up here, up on the top, and most of the fabric is below the zipper. So the way we do that is we find our zipper and we bring most of the fabric under the zipper. So if you peek, you can sort of see inside. Here's my zipper. Most of the fabric is folded towards the bottom, and then we're going to measure how much fabric is above the zipper, and we want a precise amount of fabric above the zipper. So you kind of want to take this fabric folds and sort of gently move them around, and then you're going to want to get a ruler. I have a smaller ruler here, my little tailor's ruler, and I want to measure from the top of the zipper tape to the top, to this fold of fabric. It should be 1 1/4 inch, and it's almost perfectly there. So just press and measure, and then repeat that for the other fold of fabric. So these are 1 1/4 inch above the end of the zipper tape. And then we're going to put a pin there so that they don't move around. And we're going to come to the other side of the bag and do the same thing. So I'm going to peek inside, find that zipper tape. I'm going to measure from the end of the zipper tape up to the fold 1 1/4 inch. Okay. And just take my time until I get exactly there. And just do a little finger press, and then line up the other fold of fabric and press that as well. And then pin so that these don't move around. And also, I want to make sure that the pocket is in the right place. So just take a peek on the inside and make sure that the opening of your pocket is pointed up towards your zipper. That's a little bit hard to see there, but so if my pocket was opening towards the bottom, everything's going to fall out. So again, just make sure that the opening of the zipper is pointing up towards, opening of the pocket is pointing up towards the zipper, not the other way around. Okay, then we just make sure the rest of the bag is laying nice and flat, and now we take our D-ring straps and we are going to sneak them in between the layers, the outer layers of fabric. So these are my outer layers, and the herringbone print, these are my inner layers, right? So I'm going to sneak these in between my outer layers right below my zipper, and I actually want them to stick out about a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to clip that in place. And then again over here, I'm going to slip these in between my outer layers, make sure they're sticking out about 1/2 inch, clip it in place. And then if you wanted to use a tag, I said handmade or your brand, I'm going to go ahead and put that in between the outer layers right under my D-ring. And that I'm just going to pin in place. Now the next step, I am going to stitch the sides, these raw edges, with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And when I get to the D-ring straps, I'm going to reinforce those with 3 rows of stitches. So I'm going to go down and then go over them again. And unfortunately, you can't watch me do this. I could try to turn my computer a little bit, but I don't know how much that helps. can kind of see what I'm doing here. This silly camera. Okay. Oh, also, you don't need your zipper foot for this part. So I'm going to take my zipper foot off, and I'm just going to put my regular foot back on, which is in my little handy case, and click it into place. Okay. So we're doing a 1/2 inch seam allowance on both sides of this fanny pack. And like I said, when we get to those D-rings, we want to make sure to reinforce them. Let's switch so you can see this a little bit bigger. It's not great. Not the best view, but better than no view. If you use a metal zipper, which I do, you do want to be careful in this step not to hit any of that metal as you're sewing. Okay, and again. And it does get a little bit bulky near that D-ring, so that's something to be mindful of. Hopefully your machine can get through that, but that strap is a little bit thick. Alright, let's come over to the other side and repeat that same process over here. We're just going to go straight down with the 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to move my zip. I can feel the zipper pull on the inside here, so I'm going to reach my hand in. This is a little bit hard to do. And try to get it out of the way. Fiddle with it a bit. Here we go. Okay. Keep going. It's getting on towards dinner time over here. And if you hear my tummy grumbling, that is why. Okay, I am reversing here. I'm almost done. And this whole bag is actually close to being done. So I'm going to show you another step or two. Okay. Hello. Alright, let me show you what happens next here. So we've sewn these sides together. You could trim these a little bit or not. I'm just going to leave them because I don't want to create fabric waste. In the next step, we're going to box the corners, and I'm going to show you a way to do that that doesn't create any waste, and it's pretty cool. So I'm going to be using a little marker, and I'm going to be using a ruler, and I'm going to go to each corner. So the corners on this side, I'm going to flip it over. Do the corners on this side. I'm marking out a 3/4 inch square on each of these corners with my marker. Now if you were using a lighter fabric, you would want to be mindful that you didn't, your marker doesn't go through. You could just use tailor's chalk instead. This fabric is pretty heavy duty, so I'm not worried about my marker going through. Also, it's dark, so that helps. Okay, I'm going to mark out 3/4 inch here. Now I'm going to flip my bag over and do the same thing on this side. I'm lining up the square with my seam, not with my raw edge. So that makes it a little bit easier to get a nice clean line in the next step. Okay. You could also make a little 3/4 inch square piece of paper if you don't want to do this with the ruler, but I find this fast and easy. Okay. Now let me show you this way to box these corners that doesn't involve cutting the corners. So all those corners are marked, and what we want to do next is peek inside, find that zipper pull, and open this zipper up all the way. So you're going to have to kind of reach inside that opening. Find it. Got it. And let's see, there's another question here. It's not showing me the chat very easily. Let's see. Do you sew through both layers? Yes. Patty, I assume you're asking about this edge here. Yeah, I'm sewing through the outer layers and the inner layers all on that side seam. So these two side seams are through all layers of fabric. Okay, so I've got these corners marked, and now I've got the zipper opened, and that just gives the bag a little bit more space for this next part. So in the next part, what we want to do is, I'm going to actually switch to another view here. Okay. So we take these corners and we are kind of pulling them apart like this, and we are wrapping them over this raw edge. Okay. And we want to create a triangle on both sides of the fabric. I know this is a little bit hard to see. So I've created a triangle with this fabric, and that mark that I made is sort of the bottom edge of my triangle. Okay, now I'm flipping it around to this side, and again I'm kind of opening up this part of the corner and making a triangle, and that mark I made is going to be the bottom edge of my triangle. It should touch the mark I made on the other side of the fabric. Now you can take your marker and draw that line all the way across so that you have a really clear sewing guide, or you can just eyeball it. Alright, so let me change my angle here so you can kind of see how I'm doing this next part. So I have this little triangle on both sides of the fabric. You can kind of ignore that seam there. And just make sure that it's laying nice and triangularly. You can see that. And we're going to pin it on both sides of that seam that you can kind of feel where the seam that we just created is now sort of tucked into this triangle. And we are going to stitch right on that line. And you can draw that line all the way across, just sort of extend it, or you can just imagine the line is there. So I'm just going to come back over to my machine, give you another view. And sorry if you can hear the gardeners. My neighbors have gardeners. It feels like there's a gardener leaf blowing on my street every single day of the week, and I wish they would just use a rake, but they're out there. So, sorry if you can hear that in the background. It's no fun for me either. Okay. Show you what I have done here. So I sewed right along that edge, and now I'm just going to show you, I'm not going to show you every single corner, but let me show you what it looks like when you're finished. So you're going to reach inside your bag and and then we're going to find that corner that we just boxed. Where is it? This one. Okay. So you're going to go through that process with every single corner. I'm only doing it on that first corner to show you how to do it. But then you end up with a really nice boxed corner here. I mean, if you wanted to do this even faster, you could not box the corners. But if you want to box the corners, that's how you do it, and you get that nice about 1.5 inches of depth to your bag. So it looks like that. I can show you on this one too. So on this one, I've gone ahead and boxed all the corners. So you can see it has a really nice depth all around it, and I did that same method. Okay, so after you box all the corners, like I said, I'm just going to box that one corner for you in this tutorial, partly because my camera went out, and yeah, I think one is good to show. The next and last step really is to close up this opening. And what you want to do is open up your zipper, and again, you might want to press this edge nicely again, and then you just top stitch that top edge, trying to pick up where your stitches ended and just trying to continue those stitches across the bag. But you would do that after you've boxed all the corners of your bag. Now, if you want to make a matching strap, you can totally make a matching strap. I just used some cotton strap that I had for this bag, and I'll probably do the same for the other bag. But if you want to make a strap, you just go through the same steps that you did to make these little straps, but you'll probably want anywhere from, like, depending on how much width you want for the waist of your bag, you might want about 40 inches of fabric, 40 by 4, to get this nice finished, this nice 1-inch strap in the end. So let me see if I have a little bit of a better view here of the box corner that I did. Yeah, so just top stitch that opening closed to get your strap connected. I actually have a video, it's coming out probably in a couple weeks. I can't remember exactly when it's coming out. It shows you exactly how to make an adjustable strap for a bag like this. So if you want to learn how to make an adjustable strap, I'll put the link to the video here. If you're watching this down the road, I don't have the video up yet today. This is July 2020, but I will have that video up in a few weeks. So check that out. And thanks so much for watching. I hope this helps you. Like I said, the pattern is available in my shop, and this video will be available on my channel, so you can get the pattern and watch the video and work through it. And sorry about my camera just quitting on me. I'll see you soon.